Hari Om. Okay, then thank you for the reminder. We can start. Who would like to read? Anand bhai, you can read. No problem.
Okay, I hope my audio is okay. Is it audible?
Hmm?
Okay. Revealed knowledge, Apaurusheya Pramana. How has this knowledge come about? We can say that it has come about by revelation, but to do so requires a certain understanding of the word revelation. Anyone can say, I had a revelation yesterday. God always comes in dreams, it seems, and tells certain people all sorts of things. I can also say I had a dream in which God came, but in my dream, God said, I never come in dreams. The statement that the entire Veda and hence Vedanta is a revealed knowledge is not an immature statement, as we will come to understand. The entire Veda is a body of knowledge that was not authored by any person. It was revealed to the rishis directly. This is why the rishis are not the authors of Veda. They are the seers of the mantras.
You're muted.
Prashant,
Prashant, you're muted.
you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I just one quick thing. I think this section we had done last time, so sorry for that.
Yeah,
But
okay, yeah.
and
It's
this is
me.
where we're going to be starting, I believe. But I did get an additional insight. I was speaking to Swami Brahma Vidananda ji, who's brilliant teacher based in Mumbai, doubtlessly a Jiva Mukta, just fascinating person to speak to as well. And so I asked him if you could give some further clarity on the mantra drashtas, the rishis, and what is the pramana operated over there, because the question arose from the fact that we say you require a pramana for something to be established as knowledge. That okay, this is a source of knowledge, therefore it has pramantham. Vedas are a source of knowledge. We study the Vedas. The Vedas are a pramana for us. What was the pramana for the rishis? And how did they receive this Veda? And we've spoken about this earlier, but this was more of a confirmation of what we spoke. So he said that just as for us, perception happens so naturally that you perceive the world around you, colors and forms and whatnot. In the same way, the Vedas are perceived just as naturally to the rishis because they're extraordinary jivas. They're not ordinary. In fact, they are avatars. And in every kalpa, the rishis just emanate forth as part of Shrishti. And so, they are in a very unique position. And, that is where it is. So we treat the rishis a little different than we would treat each other or even great Mahatmas today because the rishis are part of that cosmic blueprint. They were part of the manifestation of Shrishti. And the whole goal of the rishis is to transmit this teaching to us, which is already embedded in the universal knowledge that we call Hiranyagarbha. So, for them, it was very uh, evident and perceptible. For us, we have to study it from a guru. And they were the progenitors of the parampara from Ishvara. But it was given to them by Ishvara. So, okay. So that is where we are. Um, if someone may want to read this. Oh, wait, hold on. Did we do this part as well, the surgery thing? Right? One second, just confirm it. Yeah. We did this part. We did this part. Yep. This is where we are. If someone can read.
Shall I?
Yes, please.
Allowing the means of knowledge to work. If I am the solution, I have no reason either to deny what Vedanta says or to prove that it is correct. Just as in our earlier example, the man had to open his eyes to prove that he could see, so too, the only proof that Vedanta is a means of knowledge is in allowing it to work. I should let the words do their magic on me. Words refer to a certain knowledge born of the words. Words are not just words. They can reveal and thereby remove my ignorance. The words need not always give rise to indirect knowledge. They can also give direct knowledge. When the Veda talks about heaven, the knowledge is definitely indirect. In fact, it is a belief. There is a description giving you some indirect knowledge about heaven, if indeed there is one. Every tradition has its own description of heaven, and we understand it from that description.
So one quick
The
pause.
Vedas,
So this part we have touched upon, but I wanted to add some more emphasis because there was some additional thinking that I was doing here. I missed stating a very obvious point, because I know, Anand, you had a question about this, that why is Vedanta considered direct knowledge and why is it not indirect? So all of that we spoke about was accurate, but there's a much quicker way to see it, which totally missed me that day. Think of the 10th man story. The 10th man story reveals to you the person that you are. So for the people who aren't aware of the story, I'll share it with you, probably with some variation, I guess. So this is from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There were 10 people who were meant to go on a journey, traveling from one place to the other, and there was a certain individual who was tasked with the responsibility of making sure that those 10 people got to the other side of the river, and they crossed the river, and then they went to their final destination, wherever it is. So what happened is, these 10 people set off on their journey, and I guess I'm just adding some color here, but maybe the person who was responsible was a little bit paranoid, and so every now and then he would do a head count just to make sure that, okay, I've not missed anyone. This is a very interesting story about the head count thing, which I'll come to again. So then, they've crossed this river, and there's a mighty flow, and it's a very strong current, and so everyone is struggling somewhat to get to the other side. But finally, they do, and then this person is doing a head count, and he sees only 9 people. So that's a problem, because now he feels really nervous about what just happened. Did they get swept away in the river? Did some crocodile eat them? Will I find their dead body somewhere? I don't know, right? So now this person gets very paranoid. And so he's mourning the loss of the 10th man, and then along comes a wise person, a sage, a guru. So this person is asking this fellow that, hey, why are you crying? So he said that, oh, Arey, Swamiji, sab satyanash ho gaya, vinash ho gaya, everything's ruined. I was given a big responsibility, but I think we lost one person in our party. So he says, oh, how many people were there? He said, 10. We said, count. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He said, only 9 people. He said, are you sure? He's like, yeah. He's like, uh, stupid person, you forgot to count yourself. You're the 10th person. So over here, when we talk about the Atma, it is like the 10th man, that I am seeking what I already am, but I forgot to consider the fact that I am the very consciousness, I am existence alone, and that is what I seek. And that knowledge is not indirect, because it is not a place that I need to go to or something I need to accomplish to get there, because that is what I already am. And so what the Vedas do is it points out one's own Swarupa, one's own reality to oneself. It holds a mirror in front of you, in front of us rather, and it says that this is who you are, this 10th man, this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The thing that you've been seeking is the very sought after object, and that sought after object is you alone. And that is the 10th man story. And so that is why it's direct, because once that knowledge takes place, one realizes that it is me only. I am the one who has to discover who I am. But that's something that was something we should have covered last time, which slipped my mind. So now we come to the Gita as a means of knowledge. If Malaji, would you like to read? So now we are starting with new content, fresh content.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
The Gita as a means of knowledge. The Gita, of course, is not as voluminous as the Vedas, which contain all the Upanishads. The Upanishads are the original source book, which is understood with the help of books like Gita. Since these books present the same material very conjointly in an easily understood form. This is why the Gita is referred to as Gita Shastra. There are 700 verses in the Gita contained in 18 chapters. The first chapter and the initial few verses of the second chapter providing the context. We have then the entire Gita Shastra in 17 chapters, wherein the twofold dharma of a committed lifestyle for moksha is unfolded. Because the Gita is a book, Grantha, that unfolds this dharma, it is looked upon as a Pramana Grantha. Even though the Upanishads are the Pramana, not being born of a given intellect. The Upanishads, meaning the Vedas, form the means of knowledge. But the Gita is also looked upon as a pramana because it upholds and unfolds that the Veda says, Shruti. If the Gita said anything not in keeping with the Shruti, it would definitely not be considered as Pramana Grantha. The Gita would not be studied, nor would Shankara have written a commentary on it. The Gita is accepted as Pramana Grantha because of its affinity and fidelity to the Veda. Lord Krishna himself confirms in Gita that what he is saying has already been said in the Veda. Furthermore, the Gita is presented by Vyasa, who is considered to be the editor of the Vedas. The four Vedas, collectively referred to as the Veda, existed even before Vyasa. He was the one who grouped them properly so that a designated person in a given family could study one particular Veda and then hand it over to each succeeding generation. Because Vyasa knew the Vedas so well, he was considered to be all knowing, Sarvanya. In the middle of the vast, beautiful word tapestry of this epic Mahabharata, Vyasa presented the wisdom of the Vedas in the form of Gita. It shines in the midst of the much larger work like a pendant jewel. These 18 chapters are therefore considered to be an authentic pramana. The first argument for the Gita being a pramana then is that it does not contradict what Veda says. It expounds and illustrates what the source book says. The second argument is that it is presented by Vyasa. Thirdly, Vyasa presents Krishna as an avatara of the Lord. Therefore, Krishna is looked upon as an avatara, a particular form the Lord has assumed for achieving certain limited ends. If the concept of avatara is accepted, Krishna as an avatara is Lord Narayana, Ishvara himself. Therefore, when Krishna talks in Gita, Ishvara, the Lord is talking. What is said is the word of Bhagavan, Vachana. And Bhagavan is telling us what the Veda says. This again makes the Gita a Pramana Grantha for the believers. When Bhagavan himself is talking about what is said in the Vedas, what else do we want? Because the Gita is Bhagavad Vachana, the word of Bhagavan, it is a Pramana.
Okay. So that's a beautiful introduction to the Gita. Any questions on this? Okay. If you'd like to continue reading, we can look at the meaning of Bhagavan.
The meaning of Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the one who has Bhaga, the
Bhaga.
virtues in absolute measure. These are all knowledge, jnana, total dispassion, vairagya, the capacity to create, sustain, and resolve, virya, absolute fame, yasas,
Yashas.
all wealth, yasas, all wealth, shri, and overlordship, aishwarya.
So we can read this shloka also.
Yes.
If you
Aishwarasya samagrasya वीर्यस्य यशस्यस्य श्रिय ज्ञानवैराग्ययोश्चैव सन्न सन्नं षण्णानं भग इतिरण.
So
The total
I can just try to read the shloka once. ऐश्वरस्य समग्रस्य वीर्यस्य यशसः श्रियः ज्ञानवैराग्ययोश्चैव षण्णं भग इति रण.
it's from the Vishnu Purana. Total and absolute overlordship, power, wealth, dispassion, fame, and knowledge are known as Bhaga. To have all knowledge, jnana, is to be free from all ignorance. Thus, the one who has jnana does not require a mind, perception, or a means of knowledge with which to know. If we require a mind to know, there is always ignorance. Thus, whoever is endowed with a mind in order to know cannot be Bhagavan. We will see later how it is possible to be one with Bhagavan. Bhaga, therefore, is jnana, all knowledge.
One brief pause over here. So there's an important point to illustrate. It goes back to this whole Pramana thing, but what page are we? 35. Somebody will help me keep track of pages. But when you looked at this part earlier, and it spoke about Ved Vyasa, if you see this, because Vyasa knew the Vedas so well, he was considered to be all-knowing Sarvajna. So there are two relational words over here in the context of knowledge. One word is Sarvajna and the other is Sarvavid. So they sound synonymous, but there's a distinction. Sarvajna means you have the general sense of everything, and Sarvavid means you have the detailed knowledge of all that there is. Every single inch of the Jagat, of all that there is, one has knowledge of that. Whereas Sarvagnya is that, okay, one has a general sense of all that there is. It doesn't have to be a detailed sense, because the only one who can be Sarvavid is Ishvara. You not find a person who is Sarvavid, you may have a person who is Sarvagnya. So the greatest of Mahatmas will also be Sarvagnya, but they will not be Sarvavid, because there is still a reliance upon the means of knowledge. See, it's very interesting. Bika was asking me recently about this. She's like, okay, how Bhagavan knows everything, right? If everything's... And I was explaining it in these terms. Suppose, again, you just have to extend the example, because this is like a explanation to a child. But let's say if I have to know a tree in the distance, I need to rely upon my sense of sight. If I'm not looking at the tree, then the tree is not there for me. But if somebody touches you somewhere, then you don't need, yes, technically we are relying on a sense of touch. So that is where the example brings. But, if somebody touches you, you don't need to have, separate sense or do something to know that I have been touched. It is very spontaneous. You just know it, because the whole body is you. But if I need to go and feel an object, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, then I need to touch that object, and then that object transfers whatever sense that there is to my sense of touch, and then it is manifested as hot, cold, whatever else it is. So in the same sense, in order for me to know something, I have to be distinct from that thing that I wish to know. But for Ishvara, when all that there is Ishvara alone, then Ishvara doesn't need to employ a pramana to know something. Pramana is only employed by jivas, not by Ishvara. Ishvara knows everything by default because everything is Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara, therefore Ishvara doesn't need a means of knowledge to know everything, because it is like, somebody touches your body, you don't need anything extra to know that I've been touched. So all that there is Ishvara. Therefore Ishvara alone is Sarvavid, whereas everybody else at the Mahatma level also will be Sarvagnya, which is that they can tap into the order at times, they can tap deep into the universal mind, so to speak, but they are not the universal mind itself. So that is an important point I wanted to make. If you can continue from here. Before that, I'm sorry, any questions on this piece? Sarvagnya versus Sarvavid? Okay, good. Yeah, please, if you can continue reading.
Total absolute dispassion is also called Bhaga. The one who has total absolute dispassion, Vairagya, has no longing, no insecurity. He or she is full. Virya is absolute power or Shakti, meaning the capacity to create, to sustain, and to resolve. The one who has this absolute power is called the Almighty. Absolute fame, Yasash, means all fame, including your own or anyone else's. This is called Bhaga. One who is endowed with the ability to sing, for example, may gain some fame, a ray of glory. But that fame belongs to the Lord, the one who has all fame. The Lord also has all wealth, all resources. Shri. Any wealth you may have really belongs to Bhagavan, the Lord. And you are only a trustee of whatever resources you happen to have. Finally, the one who is not caused, who is not ruled by anyone, who is not subject to the laws of someone else, has the Bhaga called Aishwarya, overlordship. We as individuals have to go by the laws of nature. We cannot go against them. Even an engineer who is responsible for planning, commissioning, and running a thermal plant cannot touch a live wire without facing the consequences. In other words, the engineer cannot behave as he or she likes merely because he or she caused the electricity to be generated. It was because of the laws alone that the engineer was able to generate electricity in the first place. The one who does not subject himself to the laws or laws of another is the Lord. If the Lord is ruled by someone else, then that someone else becomes the Lord. And it is this Lord that we are talking about. These six absolute virtues then constitute Bhaga. And the one who has this sixfold Bhaga is Bhagavan.
Wonderful. Any questions here? So yeah, it's a very beautiful definition of Bhagavan, because we've spent pretty much a lifetime using that word, but this explanation really hits home because it explains the full magnanimity of what Ishvara is, what Bhagavan is, and it's really beautiful. One thing over here is a couple of things. There's one nice talk I had shared recently by Swamini Brahmaprajnandaji, where she spoke about how Shiva, Ishvara, destroys one's ahamkara. And she spoke about 4 different levels of ahankara evolution, in some sense. First is that we go about living our lives as bhoktas, which is that I consider myself the recipient of all of the good and bad things happening to me. Yeah, that is one very base way to look at life, and we are all guilty of looking at life that way in in different degrees. Something bad happened to me today. Something wonderful happened to me today. Oh, I had a great time today. I had a terrible time yesterday. That kind of thing. So one looks upon oneself as the entity that's at the mercy of the onslaught of life. So that is the first way of looking at oneself. And this kind of person is a defeated person, a loser in life, because they are at the mercy of the elements, of the different vagaries of circumstances and such. The second, more mature way of looking at oneself, and all of these are still vidya only, but a more mature approach is to look at oneself as the karta, as a doer. So sometimes, if you see in life, there are a few folks who consider themselves go-getters. Now, what they are getting and what they are going after is a different matter, and there may not always be some virtue there. But at least these people are dynamic individuals who feel that they are in control of life. They are in control of their situation. They think that they have a degree of ownership around the world and things that they are responsible for, whether it is responsibility for one's family, at one's job, anything, towards society, towards their Sanatana Dharma culture, whatever it could be. There is some degree of ownership where they take the onus to do things that make what they consider, for better or worse, life better for them. So this is where one treats oneself as a karta. I have done something. Now, of course, the bhokta has his own problems. The karta also has problems. Ultimately, if you're a karta, you will also be a bhokta at some point. But which which mind space one is dwelling in more, karta versus bhokta? It's not mutually exclusive, but this is more like, where do you reside more? Where do you identify yourself as being more often? As somebody who's in control, or somebody who's at the mercy of life? Now, the thing is that with a karta, there could be a sense of, Array, I have done this. I have made a career for myself. I am intelligent. I am accomplished. I'm a self-made man, right? This whole self-made nonsense. What is a old Bollywood movie, Trishul, 1978 wala. Amitabh Bachchan becomes a self-made man. He wants to differentiate himself from the father. There was a very trite sort of Bollywood script when you'll have the same storyline kind of rehashed in different ways. But anyway, this is this thing, right? Where sometimes the son wants to differentiate themselves from the father. That, oh, I don't need your wealth. I don't need anything of yours. I don't need your influence. I don't need your enterprise. I'm going to carve my own destiny. That kind of thing. That's okay. There's a chip on one shoulder, but they're at least doing something about it. They're not sitting in a corner, heroin addicts or whatever. So now this karta ahankara also evolves further, and this is something very beautiful. And the reason I bring it up is because this part, right? That one recognizes in the light of Ishvara Buddhi, Ishvara Bhakti, that I am not as great as I think I am at the Jiva level. All of the greatness that I have, again, I'm speaking as a Jiva, forget Atma and all for now. As the Jiva, all the virtues that are endowed uh, by me, all the accomplishments that I've had in my life, all the things that I think I've done, all the stuff that I've changed in my life and other people's lives, it is all nothing but a blessing of Ishvara, because it is Ishvara who is the enabler of all of these things. Okay, suppose I say that I have built a monument, or I have built a factory, suppose. Where did the material for that factory come from? Did I create it? No. The material was there for me to use. And material is a manifestation of Ishvara. So, okay, I can't claim that I've created anything. Maybe I can claim that I've helped other people, I've served other people. Maybe that seva ahankara could be there. No, I can't say that also. Because how did I help people? With my limbs, with my hands? Did these hands, come ready-made, or did I create them? No, they came ready-made. It was part of the genetic code where my limbs developed as they are, where I could serve, I could do some seva, I could do something. Again, where did the genetic code come from? Ishvara. Ishvara is the author of that code also, because again, it's all Ishvara. Okay, maybe I think that I'm so intelligent, I came up with a great equation, the grand unifying theory, which, by the way, I don't think is ever going to happen. It's a rubbish scientific conceit that I've spoken about in the past. You can't unify things at the level of avidya. You have to transcend avidya through knowledge. But anyway, that's a different story. So let's say you come up with a great equation that you think is going to change everyone's life. And it might. But then where did that equation come from? It came from a person's mind. Where did the mind come from? Did I create the mind? No. That is also given. So what Pujya Swamiji explains is that everything that we have is a given. All of the abilities that we are endowed with are given. And who are they given by? They are given by Ishvara. So therefore, can I truly claim ownership over any of my actions? I can't. In fact, that is where one's ghamanda starts exceeding one's bhakti. Where I start thinking that I have done something good for someone. Anytime we do something good, you're extending yourself in an act of goodwill. Just to see oneself as a nimitta, as an instrument through which Ishvara is performing these actions, is the third and more mature stage of the ahankara. Where now I don't see myself as the bhokta, that I am always in trouble or I'm always happy, whatever, that goes away. Or as a karta, that see how much I do in life, see how much I've done for you, that kind of business. One starts to see oneself as an instrument that the Lord is able to operate, through which one can operate, in this manifested reality. That let me be the instrument of Ishvara's will. There's a nice expression, thy will be done. Whatever your will is, let it be done through me. I am only an instrument, nothing more. I am not anything special. I'm not anything, there's nothing profound that I'm able to say, do, speak, nothing. It's all Ishvara. That mindset is very important. And that is not very far away from jnana. Because the fourth stage of, evolution of one's ahankara is to see oneself as the witnessing self alone, where actions are being done, but they're not being done to me, through me, by me, whatever. Even that goes away, because I am the uninvolved self, and the actions are being done. However, somebody is doing these actions. They're not being, they're not as some neo-Vedantans say, it's an illusion. It's not an illusion. Actions are being done, but they are being done by the body, mind, sense complex. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not the senses. The body, mind, senses, this, conglomerate of these things put together are able to act out in the world. But that is not who I am. I am the one that blesses by my presence as the self. I bless the body, mind, senses to go about doing their functions. But I am not the enjoyer of actions or results. I am not the doer of actions. I am not even an instrument through which actions are being done. I am that in the presence of which actions happen, and I am the uninvolved witness to them all. As though actions are being done. Because there is no agent of action. The agency is lost. In the first three stages, there's an agency. In the last stage, there is no agency. Kartutva, bhoktutva is gone, finished. So that is how one has to proceed. And that is why Ishvara Bhakti is so paramount. Because it is so unfortunate. It is borderline pathetic that there are flavors of Vedanta being taught without Ishvara. How can you study Vedanta without Ishvara? How can you conceive of a world without Ishvara? It sort of boggles the mind that there could be philosophers who were so dull-witted that they could go through all of the Vedas and bring out and extract some teaching without appreciating that the majority of the Vedas are in praise of Ishvara. So, you talk about Sri Rudram, you talk about the, Durga Sukta, Sri Sukta, Meda Sukta, Purusha Sukta, this Sukta, that Sukta. It's all Ishvara Arpanam only through the form of mantras. It's all dedication to Ishvara. It's all, hymns dedicated to Bhagavan. But that is why we don't look upon the Bhagavad Gita as a secular text. Again, like we've spoken about this once before. This is not a management text. Somebody is like, oh, maybe I can study the Gita because it may teach me management. If I go buy a management textbook, go do Harvard Business School or something if you want to study management. Why are you wasting time with the Gita? Swami Brahmavidarnaji, I might have said this before, it's worth saying it again. He says it very nicely. He's like, to use the Bhagavad Gita as a textbook for management is like using a heavy samurai sword to cut a slab of butter. It can get the job done, but you're wasting its purpose. Its purpose is to deliver mukti, to give mukti to the devotee of Lord Krishna. So there is no Gita without Krishna. There is no Vedanta without Ishvara. So that is what I wanted to mention. We can do one more section if you Malaji, if you can continue reading, please.
Krishnaji, I have a question.
Haji.
So it's about the last paragraph of the previous reading. So it says that Ishvara, who is, can you scroll down a little bit?
Here? This one?
No, a little bit. Can you scroll down? So, yes. So the one who does not subject himself to the law or laws of another is the Lord. So I'm not able to understand how this is the case, because we also say that everything we see, everything around us is Ishvara, right? And if that's the case, then Ishvara also falls under the framework of the laws of nature. So how do we then say that he is outside this framework, according to this statement?
So here, I think Pujit, this is more of a tongue-in-cheek statement by Pujit Savji that in this the British and European hierarchy, class hierarchy, you have these noblemen, and they are given the title of Lord Samurai, Lord Mountbatten, Lord this, Lord that, right? So that's what he's like tongue-in-cheek remarking over, that if you have a Lord, then somebody else who's ruling about them, that becomes the Lord that we are talking about, that is Ishvara. So these Lord titles, like he's just sort of like mocking those titles. But to your philosophical question itself, Ishvara is manifest as the Jagat. The Jagat is Ishvara, but Ishvara is not the Jagat. I, suppose I manifest as my dream. The dream is me, but I am not the dream, because I both am immanent as well as transcendent. These are two viewpoints. Viewpoints mean vantage points. Not viewpoint as in like two ideas, but vantage points. From the standpoint of the world, from the standpoint of the Jagat, all that there is Ishvara, which are these laws of Ishvara manifesting as the world of names and forms and atoms and whatever else. From the standpoint of Ishvara, the world is only as though a sankalpa, as though a thought. From the standpoint of Ishvara. Just as from the standpoint of the waking person, the dream is nothing but a series of thoughts. But from the standpoint of me inside the dream, there's a whole universe and its own rules, which is the dream world and the dream rules that I have to follow. So Ishvara is not subject to the laws of the dream, not the dream, but of the Jagat, any more than I am subject as the waker, that I am subject to the laws of my dream world. So Ishvara is immanent as the Jagat, but Ishvara is also transcendent in that Ishvara is neither in the Jagat nor of the Jagat. But the Jagat is Ishvara, but Ishvara is not the Jagat. Ishvara is a Jagat and more. Because the Jagat is Jada, it is inert, but Ishvara is also Satyam Jnanam Anatam Brahma. That is Ishvara Swarupa. The Swarupa undergoes no change. There is no modification in the Swarupa. Ishvara is in control of Ishvara's Maya Shakti. The Jiva is under the control of Maya Shakti. That is a difference. Whatever is manifest is within the laws of Maya Shakti. But it is Ishvara who wields the Maya Shakti to as though write the laws also. So therefore Ishvara cannot be under the control of the laws any more than a programmer is under the control of the program. Because and the difference here is program duality. Ishvara is also the program. Ishvara is also the programmer. Ishvara is also the input. Ishvara is also the output. Ishvara is also the function. Output is this whole world that we see. Function are the laws. And the programmer is Ishvara as Antaryami as Jagat Karanam, Brahma, Jagat Karanam, the cause. So from the standpoint of and this is a good question because and it's worth seeing why. From the standpoint of the Jagat, there is a cause of the Jagat. There's a cause and there's a creation. Cause and effect. Cause is Ishvara, effect is Jagat. From the standpoint of the Atma, from the standpoint of the Swarupa of Ishvara, Satchitaranda Brahma, there is no cause and there is no effect. Cause and effect themselves are only applicable in the Mithya realm. So that is how it is. Another way to look at it is through the Dakshinamurti Stotram, the first shloka. Vishwam darpana drashyaman nagari tulyam nijantar gatam. So this, imagine that you have an entire universe that is projected as a virtual reality inside a mirror. Now I can count all of the objects in the mirror. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a pot. There's a tea pan. There's this, etc., etc., etc. But I can't count all of those objects. And in the same breath, I can also count the mirror, because a mirror does not fall within the same order of reality as the objects. Now I can't say that the objects don't exist because they have a certain existence of their own. It is dependent. But if I take away the objects, suppose the mirror is still there. But if I take away the mirror, even the objects disappear. So here, Ishvara is both the mirror as well as the objects. From the standpoint of the objects, the mirror is, great, it's supporting us all. There is the Vidhata, it is the Antaryami. That is how the mirror is appearing from the standpoint of Jagat. From the standpoint of the mirror, what Jagat? There's no Jagat only. From the standpoint of the, the Swarupa of Ishvara, actually, in Vedanta 2.0, if one really pushes the boundaries over there, a little bit of imagination, what Jagat? There's something, this is a very good point because one of my Guru Swami Divya Chaitanya ji, well, now Divyananda Puri ji, that time Brahmachari. So I met him at Prempuri Ashram, Chopati, and opposite Babulnath. And this was in 2017. And there was a very beautiful thing that he said, which took a little while to sink in. But once you get it, it blows your mind away. He said that when you talk about adhikara, 3 levels of adhikara: uttama, madhyama, manda. Now every adhikara is a qualified aspirant for knowledge. Qualification is there. The person is unqualified. If the person is unqualified, then he is an anadhikari, which is that the person is not eligible to study Vedanta. Go do something else with your life. Something useful. Not everybody is ready for Vedanta. This is not even a demeaning statement. It's a matter of fact. But if you are a Manda Adhikari, means, there needs to be some serious work that needs to be done for Vedanta to take place as a knowledge. Madhyam Adhikari is some less work. And Uttam Adhikari means you're almost there. You're almost there. So now, what Swamiji said is, for a Manda Adhikari, one looks at the world as Paramarthikam, Vyavaharikam, Pratibhashikam. Anybody heard these concepts? Or not concepts, but these expressions? Okay, I'll unfold it a little bit first. Let's start with Paramarthikam. So it is the Satta. It is the absolute Satta. It is the reality itself. It is existence, consciousness. It is Satchit Ananda. Brahma. We are talking about Brahma over here. Okay, the Swarupa of Ishvara, the Swarupa of the Jiva, the Atma. From the standpoint of Paramathikam, there is nothing to speak of. There is nothing to say. Because from the standpoint of Paramathikam, what names and forms? Names and forms don't figure in this. Satyam Jnanam Antam, I won't use the word beyond, but let's say it is that which sustains all the names and forms. But from the standpoint of the reality, there are no names and forms. Okay, from that standpoint. Then you have Vyavaharika, which is this manifested world. Vyavaharika is what you call Ishvara Shashti. Ishvara Shashti is a manifestation of Ishvara, just as the dream is a manifestation of the Jiva. So, Vyavaharika Satta, every inch of Vyavaharika Satta is pervaded by Ishvara, because Ishvara is present here as the very order, as the very substance of the things. The Swarupa of this Jagat is Ishvara only, which is the Swarupa of Ishvara, which is Atma. Okay. Vyavaharika. Now, in the beautiful order that Ishvara is, as has manifest rather, allows a fractal-like design, even in Vyavaharika, where we as Jivas, not Atma, as Jivas, are manifest with our own individual vibhutis, with our own individual abilities to manifest another world of a lower order, such as one's dream, such as one's imagination, a reverie that one is lost in. You're thinking about some girl, some guy, I don't know, something like that. We are able to create our own reality that is not underlying, but that is sort of a second layer in this existing reality itself. That is the glory of the Jiva. And that is what you call Jiva Shashti. Now, to the extent that the Jiva Shashti is aligned with Ishvara Shashti, which is I see the world as it is and not as I think it is. I see people as they are and not what I want them to be, because I usually want people to be horrible people so that I can make fun of them. But to see people as they are, that is the alignment with the order. So when the Jiva Shashti is aligned with Ishvara Shashti, then one is highly mature, highly accomplished, highly capable to undergo the study of Vedanta. Okay. Now, so now that we've explained this Vyavaharika, the Pratibhashika is the Jiva Shashti. That's Pratibhashika. Pratibhashika depends upon Vyavaharika. Vyavaharika has its basis in Paramathikam. Does that make sense? Okay, so that makes sense, right? Okay. So now what Swamiji said is that for the Mandadhikari, we explain things as Paramathikam, Vyavaharikam, Pratibhashikam. For the Madhyamadhikari, that person recognizes there is only Pratibhashikam and Paramathikam. That confused me a little bit because I thought, okay, chalo, maybe you will eliminate the Pratibhashikam, the Jiva Shashti. Why are we eliminating the Ishvara Shashti and we're just saying this? Because that is like saying that one has removed an additional layer of confusion. That is that this whole Jagat that is manifest itself is a projection of Ishvara's Vikalpa. It is a thought that is manifest as a Jagat from Ishvara's standpoint. So you're recognizing the Paramathikam, but we are sitting at that Paramathikam level, sort of, but we are saying that there is also this world, but that is like the thought of Ishvara. So what has happened is that the grip that one has over the world as being too real, that grip has loosened a little bit for the Mandadhikari or Madhyamadhikari. And that is why, rather than saying that we explained it as Paramathikam and Vyavaharikam, it is Paramathikam and Pratibhashikam, given that standpoint. And for the Uttamadhikari, there is only Paramathikam. There's no Vyavaharikam and Pratibhashikam. Only Paramathikam. There's only Satyam Jnanam Antam Brahma. Because one sees the world as only as though, okay, it's there. But it's like it's things are just happening. Actions are just happening. The body, mind, senses are just operating. but I am, uninvolved completely. This I am rooted in my own Swarupa as Satyam Jnanamanandam. So that is the vision of the Jnani. And pretty much the Uttamadhikari and the Jnani are not any different, because all that the Uttamadhikari needs is that exposure as a small little reminder, because that Uttamadhikari has probably done in previous lifetimes a lot of Shravanam and such. And so they just need that little bit of like it's kind of like that Dark Knight movie, right? That sometimes you just need a little bit of a push to go off the edge. They just need a little bit of a push, and then they've gone off the edge of a vidya, and now they're jnanis. Little bit of sometimes it may just be a single word or a statement that the Guru will say, and ho gaya kaam. Finished. There's no coming back. So this is how Swamiji explained it. Okay, so I think we'll take a quick pause. I'll see if there are any questions, and if not, then we can close. But any questions? Okay, so if not, then we'll close a little early this week, and another 8 minutes or so. I expect some people to join the generic Q&A session. So let me stop the recording after Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. 1 minute.